Thank you very much. It's great to have a chance to talk a bit about what we're doing at the NSPCC and to have a chance to hear some of the things that have been happening through the day. I'm going to do something a little bit different. I mean, Richard's given you this fantastic overview about the work that CRUK are doing and how they're approaching culture. And I'm going to approach it probably from a different position. I was very struck by one of the comments that he made about culture starts with history. And I firmly believe that. History is really important for a cultural organisation. And they were in 1902. We were founded even before that. So we've got 330 years of history at the NSPCC. And we've been thinking about that quite recently as we've gone through the rebrand that we've just done, which is a very exciting change of direction for the NSPCC, about bringing the word fight back into our language more aggressively than perhaps we have in the past, because that goes right the way back to the first words that were said by our founder. But that's very important. But I'm going to focus a little bit about some of the other things that one of the other things that I think drives culture, and one of the things that's really important when you're thinking about change. And I do it in the context, which I'll surprise nobody in the room if I say the NSPCC has had a slightly bumpy time over the last year or two. That won't surprise anybody at all. Anyone surprised? No. I can't see any hands if they're up, but you clearly have just landed from somewhere outside the UK. It has been a difficult time. And sometimes when you go through those processes, lots of change happens to you. And there's no doubt that cultures get shaped often by things that are happening outside the organisation and within the organisation. And so you almost have to break and restart a culture rather than just think about what you're doing in terms of cultural change. And that's the process that we've been going through, is how do we come up with a new way of doing things and a new way of working and being a group of people as fundraisers, but also as a whole organisation. So I'm just going to talk you through a little bit of the work that we've been doing and what it's involved for me personally. It's a bit of a element of sharing here, coming into this as a relatively experienced fundraiser, but into this, what is, for me, a pretty big job and a very exciting challenge. And our starting point is this question, are you up to something? This looks just like my daughter, as you'll see in a second. I'm sure we're still missing one of the three handsets in our house. I'm going to talk to you about a model that's called, that we've used, or a language. Model always means it's a bit of a construct. It's a language we're using, which is called Future, Engage, and Deliver. Very, very simple. It's a way of thinking about being a leader. It's a way of thinking about how we work and talk with each other in the organisation. It's a way of thinking about who we are. And for me, what's very important is it does start with you. So yes, history is very important for culture, but as important, it's about you as a person. And that's absolutely true for a director, but it's just as important for someone who's sitting in the direct marketing team, or just as important for someone who's out in an office being a regional fundraiser, or someone who's there adding up the numbers and making sure that the books balance. Everyone needs to be up to something. Everyone needs to have some sense of their own sense of who they are and why they're there and what they're about. And if they haven't, then you have to help people find some of that. I'm a big believer that you have to work or have to be inside an organisation where you have to find your own story. Because I don't know, I go to parties or to social events and people go, what do you do? And I go, I work for the NSPCC. And then they go, why? And I go, that's a very interesting question. What's the why? Why do I do what I do? Well, it's quite fun sometimes. Occasionally it can be a real nightmare, but that's pretty true of everyone's job, isn't it? Why do I do what it is I do? What is it that for me works? What is my sense of self as my starting point for what is it I'm up to? Because it's very difficult to start to paint a vision or a future for an organisation if you can't work out what your own vision or future is. And I'm not talking about your career path, but what it is you want. What it is that's going to make you get out of bed and feel ambitious rather than dulled by the sense of the organisation and the process that comes around it. It starts with you.